We're going to replace the crank sensor on this 05 Impala. Getting a no crank code, engine will turn over but will not fire up. The only tool you will need is a 10mm open box wrench. Unfortunately, the way that the sensor is set up, you can't really get anything else on it that's going to ratchet, so this will be the only tool you need. What you're going to do is you're going to stick your hand right in, actually first feel for it. There's a wire. This right here is the wire that goes down to the sensor. You can see it right here. And I'm gonna go on the other side of the car and show you. Now, you don't have to take the wheel off or anything. I just did this so I can get a better visual, and then I realized there's a very quick and easy way to do this. All right. So that wire right there runs to the sensor that's in the block. It has some form of a heat shield over it, so it's really hard to feel. When you get down there, you're feeling for a metal plate. That metal plate, on the other side of that plate, will have a 10mm nut on it. You're gonna go right through here. There it is, right there. So you're gonna take the bolt off of that heat shield. With that heat shield out of the way, there is another, is that the right thing there? Yeah, there's another 10mm bolt or not, I'm not really sure. You can just feel it. You're gonna unplug the pigtail, and then you're gonna take that nut off. The stud is removed. This is what holds the crankshaft position sensor in place. You can actually, you might be able to get a ratcheting system on that because there's a lot more space with the heat shield removed. But I just used the closed end of the standard wrench, 10mm. And we're gonna go back through here. The pigtail is disconnected. You simply push forward on the clip and it should slide the, come on, light it up. And it should slide the pigtail right off. Now, the sensor, twist it side to side until it's loose, and then you should be able to pull it right out. Now, if you cannot reach, because this is quite a reach down there to the sensor, but if you cannot reach it through this little hole, it's definitely the easiest way because you don't have to take anything off but the sensor itself. However, if it is not possible, then another solution, which is a little easier but a lot more involved, you have to take the wheel off. So if you can't access the sensor from that location, which is the easiest way to do it, you will have to remove this transmission mount. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, I think, 4 or 5, 13mm bolts. You can see they are already out. And there's your sensor right there. And you can pull it out this way too if you want. Now on a lot of cars you'll have a shield right here. This one doesn't have it, but I think it's just some 10mm bolts that hold a plastic shield in place. Not a bad idea to inspect other things like that sway bar. or that cable right there that's just been getting cut up by the pulley. Also make sure to inspect that wire that oftentimes will get destroyed by the leaking oil in the motor mount as well, and replace as needed. So the sensor was stuck in there pretty bad. What I did to remove the sensor is you take a screwdriver, you wedge it between the block and the sensor, and you twist the screwdriver like this. Sometimes it helps to have you know, a little twisting motion, but if you just twist it, it should pop right out. Inspect sensor, make sure there's no oil inside of the electrical connector, because if there is, that's probably the issue. All right, now we will get a new sensor. Part number PC7 from Napa. Compare, make sure they look identical, and they do look very similar. So we'll go ahead and pop this in. This piece right here points to the driver's side of the engine. Oh, I'm sorry, points to the passenger side of the engine, and the bolt hole points to the driver's side. So it'll be exactly like that. Pop that right in. Next, we will reinstall the stud, 10mm stud. Once the stud is in there, holding the sensor in place, we'll reinstall the heat shield and the other 10mm nut onto the stud. With the heat shield reinstalled and the pigtail plugged back in, inspect fluid levels, make sure the car is ready to start, and we'll clear the codes once you get the car started. And of course, this car is going to require a jump start because the battery's dead. Be sure to clear your check engine light with your OBD scanner. Looks like we're back up and running again.